Hello, my name is Ben Novotnak, and I am a student at Western Kentucky University. I am a senior, and I am double majoring in business management and applied data analytics, and I'm also minoring in marketing. And I decided to do my final project on COVID-19 and college. As a college student, I've been affected by COVID just as much as anyone else. It's been a pretty unique experience. I wanted to look at data to see which colleges were the worst affected and how it looked on a map. So before I jump into talking just about colleges, I wanted to go ahead and make a heat map of the whole world and the United States. It's very simple, but it's just an effective way to visualize how COVID has had an effect on the whole world and the United States. I took Tableau's map that they had already created and added my own touches to it. Instead of having circles, I changed it to colors. And you can hover over a country and it tells you positive cases, new positive cases, deaths and new deaths. And if you want to go and look at a specific state, then you can do that. And then what I also did, I took Tableau's time series chart that they had and added my own touches to it. I wanted to look at how severe positive cases were on a monthly basis for 2020 and 2021. So I took this and I added a filter to it to filter just for 2020, which is right here. As you see, that December 10th was the worst day for the most cases. And then down here, I wanted to look at the positives in 2021. And this is the global positive for 2021. And as you see, it's trending up. I added a trend line. But why would it be trending up? Well, there are still some countries like India that are struggling with COVID, and they had a 350,000 new infections registered on Monday, April 26th. So this could be why our global positives are trending up. Now, if you come over here and look at the USA positives, it's trending down a lot, which is a good sign. So it just shows you what different struggles different countries are facing, and the United States looks like it's coming back very strong. And next, what I did was, I am from Nashville, Tennessee. I also go to school at Western, so I wanted to see how COVID has affected Kentucky and Tennessee. So I did the same thing I did with the world map and the U.S. map, and I just created a heat map of all the counties. I added a filter so I could just look at Tennessee and Kentucky. And I live very close to Nashville. I actually live in this county right here, but obviously Nashville is going to have the worst number of cases. And then if you look right here, this is where Western is, and it seems that this county had a little bit more worse cases than other counties in Kentucky. But I just wanted to visualize this to see which counties were hit the hardest by COVID. And since I live in Tennessee, it was pretty interesting. Now here is what I wanted to focus my research on, was colleges and how COVID has affected the colleges. So I made this map, and every college on here is in its geological position. And the bigger the school is on the map, the more cases they have had. So you can see schools like Florida, Ohio State, Wisconsin, they had some of the worst cases in the United States. And I also added a filter to where if you wanted to look at the worst schools in the U.S., you could move your slider and adjust it to where if you want to see like the worst 5 schools or the worst 10 schools, you could adjust the slider. So all these schools have had more than 5,000 cases. And if you wanted to look on a state level, say I wanted to look at Arizona, you can look at the schools in Arizona and see. You can also look up specific colleges. Say that I wanted to look up University, I could just put in Alabama. And all these universities in Alabama will pop up, and you can check them, and it'll show you. See right here, University of Alabama had 4,187 cases. So the next thing I wanted to do is try to see if there was a relationship between the severity of cases in a state and severity of college cases. And what I found is that it seems to be that there's somewhat of a relationship between severity of cases in a state and college cases, but there's a lot more factors that go into consideration, like social distancing, mask wearing. Colleges in a very college campuses are not very good about social distancing. Kids like to go out and hang out and be in groups. So if you look at states like Utah, they didn't have very much cases, but as you see, they had kind of a lot of college cases, and that could be for social distancing reasons. Kids aren't following protocols, stuff like that. But something else that's interesting about this map is if you look at New York right here, it has 2 million cases, one of the worst states in the United States. But if you zoom in to New York, if you look at New York on the map, they really didn't have any problems with their cases, and that's because most of New York went virtual, and so their students were not socializing and stuff like that. So you can see on the map, which political factors and stuff like that affected cases in colleges. And so you see, Florida has over 2 million cases, and down here, the University of Florida had, I think, the worst outbreak in the United States. So there does seem to be a relationship between the severity of a state, but there's also a lot of things that go into consideration. Next one I want to do is just make a simple visualization of which colleges had it the worst with a bar chart. And it just makes it very easy to see ranking the schools. I did greatest to least. So, like I said before, Florida had the worst amount of cases. Ohio State, Wisconsin, Clemson, all these big universities seem to have a lot of trouble, and I'm going to attribute that to the lack of social distancing in college mainly. And then over here, I wanted to see how they were doing in 2021. I wanted to see if these same schools were still at the top, and Florida is right there at the top still, but you see Ohio State has moved down, and Arizona State University has moved up the list. So either they're just reporting more, or more kids are actually getting sick in these colleges. Now I wanted to focus on a micro level for colleges, and I went ahead and I wanted to see if there was a relationship between severity of cases in a county and severity of cases in colleges in Kentucky. So I go to Western, and Western is right here. As you see, we have about 1,200 cases. So it's the third worst college in the state, which is unsurprising because, it is a big school. These other schools are community colleges. But I wanted to see the relationship between the counties and the schools. So if you look at Warren County, they kind of had a lot of cases compared to other parts, and you look at Fayette, Fayette County and Jefferson County, they had it the worst in Kentucky. And the interesting thing is, for Warren County, which is where Western is, they have a lot of cases. So, and then if you look at Fayette County, which is where University of Kentucky is, they have a lot of cases. And then you go and look at Jefferson County, they have a lot of cases. So this is where colleges like Louisville, Kentucky, and Western are. So I think that there is a relationship between the colleges and the counties that they're in. I think that the colleges inflate the counties' positive results. And much like what I did with the regular 2020 college data, I wanted to rank the colleges in Kentucky in 2020 and 2021. So University of Kentucky is on top. Much of those schools in Kentucky are smaller, so you're not going to see a lot of changes in this data really for 2021. See, Kentucky, Louisville, Western Kentucky, they're all still top 3. So, in conclusion, COVID has turned the world upside down, but students, businesses, everyone's been able to adapt successfully, and so there is no doubt that we will come back stronger than ever. And I hope this data has given us an insight of how COVID can affect colleges and affect the world.